And it seems we are live. Okay, good morning everybody to the International Days at the Han University of Applied Science in Nijmegen. Today we have a wonderful session with a good friend, Vincent Douillard, which I only remember as the first time I met you as Vince. One of my favorite French colleagues, who is one of the most thoughtful and creative physiotherapists that I know, reflective in everything that he does, and very welcome in collaboration. Vince, welcome here at the Han.
Thank you to have me here. Okay, so we'll get going. Okay. Hi there. First of all, thank you for having me here at the International Week. It would have been a pleasure to be there in person and enjoy some time to meet you all. But I hope we'll have the opportunity to do so in the near future. So I have about 1 hour with you, talking about storytelling, narrative, thinking about this notion and its implication in our everyday work life as physios. So you said my name is Vincent. I'm a physio from France, and I graduated in 2014, and I've been working as private practitioner ever since. I just opened my own clinic in Lyon as well, one of the French main cities. Beside that, I'm also an amateur improv comedian, and before this whole pandemic thing started, I used to perform on stage 1 or 2 times a month. It's something I really, really love, and as you will see, it have influenced the way I'm working with patients. Tell you just quickly a little bit about me. Since my diploma, most of my practice and my postgrad trainings have been about musculoskeletal and communication. I've been studying curriculum from Australia, Canada, in order to reach fellowship in orthopedic manual therapy. And I spent a lot of time reading and training in communication, especially about pain pedagogy. I also took a lot of my free time getting involved in different organizations, such as OMT France, which represent IFOMT in France, and other associations like a local association in Lyon, which aim to organize conferences and after work about health and science, and thus connecting practitioners from the same area between them. Being part of association is now kind of a part-time job, a volunteer one. It wasn't something I learned to do as a student. It was a little bit frightening at first. It came with a lot of questions, and like, who am I to take this position and all? But it have helped me to meet physio from all over the world, like youth, for example, and they all have different stories to tell, and that has helped me a lot in my professional life so far. More than what you are doing with your patient or prescribing, I've come to think that what you believe in comes out to be more important in practice, because what you believe will drive what you tell and what you do with your patient. And that part is by far the most important one in care. So thank you, Yus, to have me here, and it's a good opportunity. I was glad to take it. So he asked me, first time he sent me a message, he asked me to talk about my work. I was like, okay, no, I'm no researcher, I'm no author or whatever. I'm just a clinician, and I like it that way. So he asked me to talk about my vision of physiotherapy. And so that's what we are going to talk about today. This workshop is a discussion between you and me. So I mean to make you understand how I think about a profession nowadays and help you to build your own philosophy of physiotherapy, what it means to you. But first, why talking about philosophy? What has it got to do with physiotherapy? In France, at least, it's a kind of thing that is looked down upon, and many people don't like it. It's a little bit like politics. It's boring. It's boring. Philosophy is defined as the law of wisdom. This definition clearly doesn't help. If I had to tell another definition with simple words, I would say that it's an approach of critical thinking and questioning about the world around us. Philosophy seeks to provide conceptual clarity to a complex world, and an understanding of philosophy allows us to think differently, to accept multiple realities and challenge our belief and understanding of our world. It's a process that can be either active or passive, but that always occurs, whether you like it or not. When I was thinking about this presentation, I did it a lot, and I thought the best way, I believe, to start it is to tell you a story, and by this means show you the importance of them and the powerful tool they represent. As I said, I just opened my own clinic. This project has been going on for 3 years now, and during this time, I used to accept various missions, mostly taking on part-time physio job in private practice, when physios have to leave their clinic for training, holidays, or due to sickness. But at some point, there was no job in private practice. Sometimes it happens. I then was called for mission in private hospital with multiple services like amputee, neurology, pediatrics, and post-operative care. The paramedics, professional over there, they were nice people, but in this kind of structure, it's all about doctors. They prescribe and think, and physio, for example, they just execute the protocol without any or very few say in the matter. It's the opposite of private practice, where we are on our own and have to think of everything and get shit done. In private practice, where I am used to work, we are more like engineers. In hospital, you're a technician, and a poorly considered one. You are just here to execute what you are told to. Some of the people who know me, I can be a little stubborn sometimes. And at that time, I didn't realize how rigid this way of doing could be in hospital. But I went from services to services wherever they needed help from one week to another without saying much. Because the first services were not about my field of specialization. I'm doing MSK, musculoskeletal, and I love lower quadrant and chronic low back pain, especially. So for the first one, it was post-operative back surgery, where you just help the patient to stand up after surgery. You get to know them for 3 days, and then they go to another department. Then amputee department, which is a very specific field and I know nothing about. And after that, it was geriatrics, which I don't like very much, but is in my mind a very hard and complex specialty. One day, I ended up in the persistent low back pain patient department. It was a mission of 4 weeks there, and I was very, very glad to be there because it's the kind of problem I'm used to dealing with. And I don't know if I'm any good, but I read quite a lot about it, and I trained very well on this, so I was very happy. In this service, people get to spend 3 weeks with a 2 hours physiotherapy session a day, and then they have balneotherapy, kinesiology, psychology session. So during this physiotherapy session, patients were assessed on their arrival and categorized in 3 levels of functional capability. These levels determine which protocol of exercises they will get in. We are here talking about people that got pain for like more than 5 or 10 years, with enormous impact on their social and working life. Half of them had invalidity cards and were unable to work. They had been in therapeutic wandering for years without finding anyone to help them. It's the kind of patient, in private practice at least, when you open your schedule in the morning, you're like, oh, it's gonna be tough again. And there were like 30 of them in this program. It was kind of last resort kind of situation for them. Long story short, apart from the whole arrival and departing assessment, my job was to check on them, showing them how to do the exercises in the protocol and without modifying it. So I think it's the part at that time I hadn't well understood. Maybe I didn't want to understood it. So like I said, I can be a little bit arrogant and stubborn sometimes, and mostly I feel competent in this kind of field. So let's get real for minutes. I was there. The protocol had been written by a doctor 30 years ago, and he was now 62 years old. Clearly, things have changed in 30 years, and the protocol hadn't. So I decided to adapt the protocol, decreasing or enhancing the difficulty, asking them to do more time for cardio session, like it was just 20 minutes instead of 5. And when they had finished the whole protocol for the day, I showed them more exercises they could do. more importantly, I was also doing some neuroscience education with them, with motivational interview, and it was not something that doctors or any professional there were conscious about. I had 10 patients on my own that I had to manage, and they were getting better results. They felt more cared about. They felt like the pain had decreased. They felt like they could move more freely, and yeah, they were more implicated in the program. So the 10 patients, yeah, and the other patients, they were asking me questions all the time. Like they were applying the protocol, like they were told to, but in the end, like they had like sometimes 20 minutes free times, and they were like, okay, what I'm doing now? The physio told them, yeah, you just can just go in your room and wait for the next session. Or at the end, they came to me and asking to do more exercises or asking me questions. The point here is I could do it because I didn't care of what could happen to me. But it wasn't possible for the other physio. If they wanted to keep their job, they had to stick to the protocol. So at the end of the 4 weeks for me, it was to get back to private practice and never come back again in the hospital. So I had my hands free, and the other physio didn't. They were to obey the outdated protocol. The best point of the story came on a Thursday. It was 8:30, so it was break time for me. Every day the 30 patients had on the schedule a group gym. So until 9:30, there were 30 of them in front of a physio. I was with a gym, like a group gym. The physiotherapists used to take turn to do it, and because I was just a temp worker, they didn't ask me at first to do it. On this day, the two of them, the two physio that were working with me, they had to go to a meeting with the doctor. So they asked me if I would accept to lead the gym group in their absence. So I asked, what do I have to do? What's the protocol? What is the norm? And they just told me, oh, you just have to take some time to make them breathe, then just make them lift their arm, lift their knee, erase, squat, and repeat until it's time to stop. Just make them move in whatever way you want. Okay. So at this very moment, I just thought, my God, this is going to be so boring for me. And if it's boring for me, it must be boring for them too. So what's the point of getting them into movement this way? They won't like it, and so they won't do it back at home. It's nonsense. So, the program was about to make these people try to move and like to move in their everyday life, not just during the 3 weeks they were there. So I decided to have some fun, and I decided to use some of the exercises we use in improvisation theater. So it was like 1 hour. We did used and know what it's about. It's my mirror movement between two persons. It's two people connecting through a stick that each person have to hold with one finger, and they have to move around the room without letting it fall. It was movement exercise. It was just fun, and it was no big deal. For the grand finale, I proposed them to go on an adventure with me. The point was, I was going to improvise a story, an adventure somewhere, and they had to decide where the adventure will go. It was really not prepared. Everyone in the room would have to mime the adventure with me, to live it through my words and move however they wanted to. I have to say, at this point, most of them were a little bit skeptical, but I was having so much fun, I didn't care if they were judging. So they agreed to go along with it, and after a few questions, they decided they wanted to go in an adventure in the jungle. So let it be. I started telling my story, asking them to close their eyes until they had to move. The point here at first was to help them dive into it. So the story went like, we are at the edge of a tropical forest. The sun is rising over the trees, and we can smell the smell of the rain that fell during the night. It's early in the morning, the sky is still pink. It's that time of the day where the silence is omnipresent, only disturbed by a bird taking off a branch from time to time. We are on a mission to find a very rare and exotic bird, the pot addict hummingbird. I've been carried away sometimes, but it was fun. So we are going to get our gear on. We are checking our belt knife, putting our hats on, putting our bow on our shoulder, and so on and so on. I was going on with the equipment just to make it sound realistic, to help them dive into it. And then we started to move, like we did go in the forest, chopping plants in our way, dodging and avoiding snake in the trees, hiding from a sleeping tiger. And at one point, I was like totally having fun. It was just about me having fun at this point, I might admit. And I had like a moment, I stopped, and I was just seeing like these 30 people that just the fact of thinking about keep picking up their keys that had fallen to the ground would make them hurt. They were like crawling and jumping over imaginary steam and all. And it was like the pain had vanished. They were just playing in a world that just made up. They were in the story. They were totally out of their body. They were not in the physio room anymore. They were outside. And so it was fun. And I didn't realize it on the spot how important that was. And one of my colleagues did return at the end of the session and saw all of that, and we discussed it later. And he told me, yeah, it was the 30 people, not all of them, but most of them were moving like they had never moved in the 3 weeks there. So what can we draw out of this story? Most of the movements I made the patient do, they were the same as what the other physio were making them do during the group gym. It was lifting their arm, lifting their knee, moving, walking. But I presented it in a way that was different. The story was different. I just changed the focus of the exercise to avoid that in their brain, they trigger the pain movement conditioning. And in fact, this isn't something new. We do know that pain is a complex reaction and that the parameters involved are multiples. And they include the attention you focus on things. If you are training or not to move, for example, like going into flexion, we are able to trigger pain in patients just by making them think about flexion for some, because they are anxious about. So it's how the brain works. So stories, there's two sides of a story. There's what's in the story and the way we are telling it. First, I want to tell you about some notions I think that are important about the content of the story. It's about to dig into the hardware. We are just scratching the surface here and focusing on notion about consciousness. We could have discussed neurophysiology, neuroscience, and there's a lot to read about it. So I encourage you to go read about this field. But for now, we aim to understand the processes that underlie this cognitive operation. First of all, we need to introduce some notion about the perception of the world. We need to define two words that are very often heard, especially in medical science. Like the two words are objectivity and subjectivity. We need to introduce, after that, a third option that go along with that. So I will ask you to help me on that. It's not the medical part of the definition that I need here. I want the larger one. So we will begin with objectivity. So can I share my screen or something?
Yes, you have full control.
Yeah, full control. Okay. Check. No, I cannot. Écran partagé. Okay. Okay. So it's a mind map. So we'll take like 5 minutes just to I want you to tell me words and think when I told you and I tell you the word objectivity. What is objectivity to you? You will have to tell me something here with the mic on.
Yes, that's helping.
Without opinion?
Yeah, just what objectivity is.
Yeah, without opinion?
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Okay. What else?
Yeah, and connected with that, no judgment.
Yeah, so it's kind of the same, or no judgment, like this?
Things you see, hear, yeah, things that are that you can touch, so
Yeah.
like senses.
Okay, so like real thing, like what's real?
Yeah.
Yeah. To add on what Jesse said, observation.
What? Okay, can you repeat?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Observation.
Yeah, observation. Okay. So we can put it, okay, observation.
Something you can measure?
Yeah, so yeah, I'll put it here. Okay.
Yeah, truth.
Clues?
Truth.
Yeah, truth. Yeah, truth. I like this one. Okay. Yeah, anything else?
Universal.
Yeah, okay. I'll put it here. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think it's good. Yeah.
Maybe just to add on the truth, facts, or is that the same thing?
Yeah. With the truth, what did you say?
Facts.
Yeah, fact. Okay. So yeah, objectivity. If I had to define it, objectivity for me is the most fundamental truth about something. The word truth is the right one here. The material world around us is submitted by the rule of physics, for example, and it does not depend on you believe it or not. On some topics, science gives us a pretty accurate vision of what is going on. On other, we are still trying to understand what's happening. Objectivity, without interpretation, like in science, we are trying to get close to the truth. And objectivity is really independent of consciousness of everyone. It's the stage where the living are staged upon. Like molecular osmosis and gravity, those things, they are happening. They're happening whether we know it or not. We don't know pretty well about molecular osmosis nowadays, but maybe there are things yet to be discovered about it. So science tries to find this objectivity, to extract all the data to be as close possible to the objectivity. If we try to take it closer to what we do as physio, in science, we often use the term gold standard. It's something you know about, I think. And the gold standard is the thing we will compare what we found afterward, like we were doing some measurement, and we compare it to a gold standard. Gold standard is the closest reference we know to the truth. So it's not objectivity like the big truth, the only truth, and the real truth, but it's the closest thing we have, and we based our measurement and think in studies to gold standard. But we should always be careful, because gold standards, it can be sometimes really far from the truth, and there's sometimes it's ending in misleading knowledge. If I had to take an example, like for the gold standard used for spondylolisthesis is X-ray. But the problem with that is X-ray, it doesn't help at all for treating those patients. In many cases, this pathology is totally asymptomatic. But when we find something on X-ray, we assume that this is the root of the problem. So maybe the gold standard should be more about clinic than imaging, like we tend now to do with tendinopathy. Okay, so objectivity, it represents the truth, like the big truth. Most of the time, we oppose objectivity to subjectivity. So what could it be? What is subjectivity?
Subjectivity, the thing we experience.
Yeah, I don't. I might change my screen. Yeah, okay. Subjectivity, where is it? Yeah, okay, this one. Okay, can you go again?
Yeah, subjectivity, inner experience.
Yeah, it's a better experience.
Yeah.
Perception.
Yeah.
Personal.
Yeah. Perception.
Maybe also beliefs.
Yeah. Beliefs.
Something connected to our own values.
Yeah. Okay.
I think something it can change a lot.
Something that can change. Yeah.
Variation. This maybe there, and diversity, but that's kind of a, I don't know if it's in the same or
yeah. So, okay.
Not measurable.
Not measurable.
That's what we mostly think.
Okay. Yeah, when we think about science, most of the time it's subjectivity is not measurable. Yeah.
Although this is of course debatable, but that depends on how we define measurable science, and well, there's a different philosophical discussion, but it would be nice.
Okay. So yeah, I like the personal and perception. It's about all on the right side, the experience, the perception, the personal thing, belief. Its subjectivity is dependent on one individual only. It depends on one's consciousness. So no subjectivity can be the same between. It can be the same between two individuals. I lost. Okay, so it can be the same. It can't be the same between two individuals because it depends on a multitude of factors. There's the personal experience, and all those factors, they will influence the perception and the interpretation of the world around us, and that will later on build the internal image, the representation we have of the world inside our mind. It's the result of there is objectivity on one side, and all your experiences are, it's building a prism, something you will see through, and the objectivity comes through the prism, through the thing you are seeing the world through, and it helps build your subjectivity. One of my teachers, he always used the same metaphor. He told us, like, try to picture a lake in your mind with as many detail as possible. Like there's a lake, there's a tree around. And all. Now, if you were a fish, would you have pictured the lake in the same way? Probably not, because you're not the same. You don't have the same materials, the physical materials to understand it. So human and fish, they are two entirely different species. So the one cannot grasp how the other the things. But if we take two closer species, we will say, like in the fish realm, like if we take tuna and sharks, for example. Sharks, they have electromagnetic sensors that help them detect their prey, and tuna don't. So the world it's the same environment, but one, for the shark, it won't see it the same way as the tuna. If we take now an example closer to our reality, and we talk about the same lake, but still from different point of view. What you are defines what you see. A biologist, if he look to the lake, he might see it with all the wildlife around, thinking about how animals interact with plants. A painter, he will see how the color of the skies glow on the surface of the lake, and the feeling those colors can trigger. A farmer will see he will see it as a source of water for his plant. A fisherman as a good tourist spot to fish during weekend. The prism here is different from one person to another. And most of the time, people can't agree on things because they just don't have the same prism. They don't see the world through the same model. If you talk with someone about low back pain, but you believe in science, and he does believe in chakra and Chinese medicine, there is little chance that you would agree in the end. These two notions, it's something we often talk about. It's something that we know. But some author that I like a lot, they introduce one last notion. And this notion is specific, as far as we know, of Homo sapiens. For some, this notion and our capacity to create, for these authors, this notion is our capacity to create and believe in, it's what distinguishes from other species. If you take one individual and compare it to almost any other mammals, we don't stand a chance. We don't have any natural weaponry, claw, fang, venom, or any physical specificity that could grant us any advantages. Ring, night vision, camouflage. In a 1 versus 1 combat, most of the time we are basically just food. So how is it possible that our species managed to get on top of the chain food? Not only to survive, but also to conquer our planet. The answer is simple. We are capable of coordinating in large groups. And the only reason we are able to do so is because we are the only species able to create stories. We are capable of creating and believing in fiction. The stories we make up can influence our perception of the world and can therefore change our behavior. It has been a long tradition to pass on universal wisdom throughout stories and fiction. So this level of consciousness is called intersubjectivity. It's like a shared consciousness between individuals, and it allows them to move and react using the same rules. So if we take like an everyday example, like money. In a very different society from today, people from the same community were exchanging services. If you need help from me to milk your cows, then you will have to help me back later, or give me some of the milk. It was an easy and efficient way of trading, but it can't work on a large scale. Exchanging something is based on trust. I can trust you if I know you, but if you are a stranger, I'm taking a risk to trust you without return. So developing societies across the world try to come up with way of securing exchanges, using units of various things like grain, rice, cocoa, shells. But once again, it cannot work on a large scale. How can you manage an empire collecting taxes if you have to collect tons and tons of grain, transport and store them? So the first metal coins were invented by the Lydian king to solve this problem. But why do people would agree to exchange coins? So the coins, the just metal scrap. So it had to come with a good story to help people trust in those coins. Why would I exchange something that can be eaten or worn against some metal scrap? I have to trust that in the future I will be able to give it back to someone else and get something I can use. And the only way to build this trust is with a good story. So everyone around will accept and believe in, abiding to its rule. So the coins were made of the same metal, they weighted the same, and were marked with the symbol of the local authority, making it harder to fake and promising horrible punishment to whoever dares to counterfeit it. With this insurance, you can more easily accept this trading currency. But in the end, it's just some metal scrap. Even worse now, we accept the same kind of story for a piece of paper or even data like bitcoins. So intersubjectivity is the story we collectively made up. And we decide to believe in this story. And in return, this story, it starts to influence us, the way we see the world. So basically, it's like that. You get objectivity, you see through a prism as an individual, and you build your own subjectivity. And there's multiple stories and that define intersubjectivity, something that many individuals believe in, and that influence back the way you construct your image and the story in your head. Up. So every behavior we have nowadays depends on the story we believe in. The stories, they exist all around us and drive each of our decision. Sometimes the stories are big ones, like Buddhism or capitalism, and sometimes they are little ones, like the fact that eating organic is better for your health. It's a fiction, but it doesn't mean that it's false. It just means that you can verify it yourself. No one, personally, I didn't go to the moon to check if the Earth was round or not. So I just choose to believe in a statement, and that will then shape my behavior. So if I get back to the story, the first story in the hospital, what did I believe in when I was working in the chronic low back pain department? Whether I was right or not, I believed subjectively that I needed to individualize my protocol for each person in front of me. I believe that n equals 1, that the person is unique and I have to adapt things to make it right. And that one protocol to help them all wasn't possible. I believe that my way of being as a physio was more related to engineering than purely technical. I believed that if I was bored leading a gym group, people would get bored too. So every one of these statements, they drove my behavior on that day. Fiction is something people are amazingly good at believing in. Either it's a fiction created like that for an exercise, or it's a fiction you believe in deeply and that changed the way you are. So end of the story, it didn't go well. The head doctor of the department wasn't believing in the same stories, apparently. So they told me when I left that I wasn't welcome to work for them anymore in the future. With that story, I try to show you two things. First, that people love story because it's easy to listen to. And second, that sometimes going against what you should be doing isn't a bad thing. I'm still sure that I hadn't done anything wrong and I helped people at that time. So with all of that, we talk about the meaning and why the message is important, why it can change people's mind and then their behavior. Now, we need to talk about the form. And when you read about pain and communication, you do realize that to deliver a message, the words you use, the way you talk, your non-verbal language, all of that is important. Sometimes even more important than the meaning of what you are trying to transmit. It gives clues to the person you are talking to on how they must understand the message. But if they misinterpret this clue, they can get what you are saying totally wrong. It's called the aesthetic of a story. Stories have been used for a very long time. It helps people to make sense of the world, but it's not only factual description. They convey implicit knowledge and consideration and can make you feel things if the words are well chosen. So instead of explaining aesthetic, we try to experience it together. When I wrote all of this lecture, I knew that in order to make you understand how important, fundamentally, the meaning is, I had no other choice but to talk a lot about the philosophical notion we discussed. But when it comes to the form, the aesthetic of the story, it's quite different. And I believe there's no better way to grasp a notion relative to communication than to experience it yourself directly. As Mike Stewart, who is quoting his favorite teacher, Louis Gifford, always say, you have to make the spaghetti stick to the wall. If you don't throw it, you will never know if it sticks or not. So, to show you different things you might want to pay attention to when you are talking with your patient, we'll do some little exercises together. Okay. Some of the exercises, I think Yus and Stere know them already, I think, because it's improv comedy, improv theater and all. It helped a lot. So first exercise, I want you to experience how can the way you talk influence your feelings. So there will be two parts in this exercise. I will call each one of you one by one, and I will show you an object on the camera. It's a random object around me. It's just random items. I'm at home, and it doesn't have any particular significance. I will ask you to tell me quickly, for the first round, tell me quickly how bad this object is for you, how much you despise it, and how much you hate it. So you'll be tempted. The point is, it could be a little bit weird, but try to play along, like if you were on a stage. No matter what you say, it's the way you say it that counts. Like you have to truly believe that the object I show you, like you hate it. Okay. Then we'll do another turn with a in a different way. So Anneke, put your mic on.
Oh, yeah.
So, how much do you despise this glove?
A little.
Yeah, you hate it. No, you hate it. You hate it.
I hate it.
Yeah, you hate it. Just tell me with words like, oh, I don't like it because.
Yeah, sorry, I missed the part. My mic's volume went off.
Problem.
I hate the glove because it's really black.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't like it.
No, I really don't like it.
Okay. Jesse.
I hate it because I have to put the cup.
Yeah, the cup. Try to imagine that really, like it has done something terrible to you.
Yeah, it's really ugly. I hate it because it exists. Its existence should be wiped from the earth.
Yeah. Okay. So, Max, it's to watch. So try really yeah, no, this watch. I don't like this watch. Okay, it's making me bad. Like try to play it. Like try to experience it. Like you really.
I despise the watch. It's digital. It looks black. It's ugly. It doesn't suit me.
Yeah.
Take it out of my face. Take it away.
CM?
Oh, what is that? Oh no, I don't like that at all. No, it's just too. No, no, I don't like it.
Try to tell me why. Why do you?
I hate the color. I absolutely hate the color. Yeah, it's awful.
It's aggressive. It's aggressive.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. What do I do?
Well, first of all, they're in a package still, so they're useless. And then they're what is it? They're not even sunglasses. I think they're just random. They're not useful. So no, I don't like them. Not at all.
Okay, nice. Next round, we'll do the contrary. I will show you more objects, maybe the same, but this time you will have to go like you love them, like how much you love them. So try, like Max did it very well. Try to play it along. Just for you then.
Oh, this is the most beautiful book I've ever seen. Oh, whoa, Vince, this is something that I really fell in love with.
Yeah.
Oh, look at those pages. Oh, and with this ways of writing, this is really. Oh yeah, and the elastic bind. Whoa, that it makes something really of. Well, this is really it. This is this is kind of.
It's overwhelming.
Oh, this is overwhelming my whole heart. I feel this tension rolling up. This is kind of falling in love with the piece. So this is kind of new materializing. This is really,
thank you. Anneke?
Oh, that is the beautiful, beautiful calculator. I think it's the best calculator I've ever seen. I think it's the solution to all our problems here.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is what we all need. I think, could you pass it to me? I just need it right now.
Can actually save the world.
Yeah.
Okay, what have we got here? Jesse? It's a battery.
Oh, it's the most beautiful battery I've ever seen. I would like to stick it in my laptop right now to power it and to have this conversation with you.
It's actually the battery that can save your life.
Yes, it's the battery of life. It's the most important thing.
Yeah,
yes.
Okay. What I've got? What do I got? Yeah. Oh yeah, this one. It's for Max.
Oh my God. This is my childhood in a stuffed animal. It's a bunny. I love bunnies. It has a nice suit. I like it. It looks very good next to you, Vince. You complement each other. Could you please send me the bunny just over to the Netherlands? I can just sleep with it every night, cuddle up, and I love it. Looks very good.
Thank you. Yeah, that. Jim?
What? Oh, that is actually the solution of all my problems. No, it's actually because my shoes always get dirty, and there are really narrow spaces, so that's perfect. And the wood is beautiful.
Yeah, it's very rare wood.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Sarah, it's a screw.
Well, without it, my life would fall apart. I really need it to get my life together, and yeah, I don't know how I've lived without it.
Okay. And I will just, because I forget about Just, for the first part, you will perform a last one with the first consign. You ate it. Remember, you ate that. Just, it's keys.
oh my God, keys. If there's something that I really despise, those are keys. Keys which give you the feeling of imprisonment. It locks you up. It really does everything which is awful in life. We know have to have keys. I get crazy about this.
I can stand that. the point of this exercise is to focus on what you're feeling when you are doing this. So most of the time, when you talk positively about something, you will end up feeling well, like overwhelmed, like lighthearted, and all. And when you speak negatively of things, you start to feel bad, to feel angry. It's just a little bit. If you try to focus on what you felt when you did that, and it's something we do in like in theater, where at first we fake it, and then after a time, it become true. Like if I try to simulate anger, after a while I'm becoming really angry. So, well, the state of mind you are when you speak about things is important, and most of it, the words you use, the word you use are important. If you use negation all the time, if you use terms that are negative, you will influence your mind and the people's mind in front of you. Okay. Second exercise, it's about the intention. I will send a private message to 3 of you with an intention. So it's a short sentence. You will have to keep in mind while during the exercise. The exercise is I will tell you a sentence, and all 3 of you will have to say the same sentence, but keeping in mind, like really hard, the little mantra I will have sent to you. So yeah, I will send something to you, to Max, and to Stere. Okay? I think I can do it here. So first used. Okay. Max. And yeah, this one is good. Stereo up. So you did receive, yeah. So you have to keep that in mind. The little sentence I sent you, you have to keep it in mind. It's like it's the only thing in your mind. It's define your mood at the moment. The sentence I will want you to tell is what is it? If you get 1 word or 2 wrongs, it's no big deal. It's the intention that I want. So the sentence is, your back is sensitive today, not because you have a bad posture, but because you do not move enough during your day. Try to move more and walk around often, and you will feel better. So the point here is not to play, is not to overplay. It's just to keep what I sent you in mind and say the sentence in a natural way.
Vincent, could you maybe just send the sentence in the chat so we can just have a...
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay, so we will convey the sentence or the message.
Yeah.
With the private message from you in mind.
In mind, yeah. You try to stay kind of neutral. It's not to play it. It's about how you feel, how you think, how it can influence the intention the other around you perceive what you say.
Yeah. Okay. Can we start?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go along.
Okay. Hi, Vince. I have to say that your back is sensitive today. Not so much because you have a bad posture, but because you don't move enough through the day, I guess. So try to move a little bit more and walk around often, and you will feel better.
Okay, thank you. Max.
Yeah, so Vince, I'm going to tell you something very quick. Your back is very sensitive today, not because you have a bad posture, but because you do move. You're not moving enough throughout the day, and try to move more and walk around more often. You'll feel way better.
Okay. Okay, Sarah.
Let's see. It's not because if your back is sensitive today, and it's not because you have a bad posture, but because you don't move enough during
You have
the
a
day.
bad posture?
Yeah. And you should really try and walk more often, and then you should feel better.
Yeah, I don't think so. So for the other, have you felt some differences between the three way they were doing it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a whole other sense of energy coming off all three of them.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure what it was, but
yeah,
Max was just raging all around.
yeah,
I was just a little concerned, and Sarah didn't really know how to connect, I think. So
yeah.
it was really interesting to see.
Yeah, and it's very interesting because you are all you're just right. It was all of that. Max was late, Just was concerned, and Stere thought that I thought that she is a bad professional. So just by it's something we use like in theater, like the brain is capable of analyze micro movement, and we feel things. Sometimes we cannot put words on it and really know what's happening, but the way you are feeling is influencing that you want it or not, the way you are talking, and people perceive it. Sometimes you are like, okay, I'm in a bad mood, or it's no big deal, and it won't have any impact. But in reality, it does. If you are in a hurry, people will feel it. Okay. I have one more exercise, but if we are late, I can go. I can.
Please do. Please do.
Okay. Third exercise is about the words you choose. I will try to explain to you discal protrusion. Donc, it's I will explain to an imaginary 50 years old patient in 3 different ways. Each one of the statements are true and are actually things I heard around me or on social media and wherever. Then I will ask you what's the difference between them and how they make you feel. Like, try to imagine what you will feel if you were the 50 years old patient. Okay? So, example number 1. Your disc have been bulging and is now touching the nerve on the left side of your spinal cord. Okay? Example number 2. There has been a lengthwise breach of the disc between your vertebrae due to the important amount of pressure you put on while lifting things without using your legs, making the core of your disc slipped against your spinal cord in your lumbar canal. The disc is now compressing and trapping the nerves controlling the left side of your body and is damaging it. Example number 3. You have a normal condition for your age that can be seen at MRI, but that is not necessarily painful. With time going on, as well as hairs becoming white, the inside of your body is hedging too. But if we pick up 100% randomly and scan them, we'll find 30% of people with discal protrusion like you, but without them having any pain or symptom. I try to say it in a natural way, and only the words are different. So how would you feel if you were the 50 years old patient?
Well,
the first, sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
With the first part, the first sentence, I was like, it's a kind of a neutral way of saying it, but the patient can't do anything with it, sort of.
Yeah.
And then I heard the second one, and that's like that. The patient doesn't need to know any of this, basically.
Yeah.
And then the third, is I think a way better way of telling a patient the same thing but in a different way.
Yeah.
And from that last part, you can go into the rehabilitation phase way better, and the information part of it. So
Yeah. Okay. Max, you.
Yeah, if I just, when you told me the sentences, I just tried to feel what someone who's 50 years old would feel like. And the first one I was shocked because you just give me little information, and it was just like your spinal cord has been I didn't exactly remember what you said exactly.
Your
but
disc have been bulging and is
yeah,
now
exactly.
touching the nerve.
There was a bulging
on the
disc and now it's touching the nerve. I was just very confused. I was like, what does that mean? And then the second one, I was just concerned because you named all different kinds of things, and I just didn't understand what you were saying, and it was all very dramatic. So I was just just concerned and just was like, what's going on? And then the third one, I was very calm because you soothed me. You were like, okay, it's going to be fine. And you actually reassured that it was going to be okay. So that's how I felt throughout the three statements.
Okay. Okay. For the other one, is it the same?
Yeah, I got a sense of panic in the first two sentences, and the third one was really reassuring. But you said it in a neutral way, so I think my own perception took over the words.
Yeah,
it's cool.
Yeah, I would say in the first one, it was kind of the flabbergasted. So it was, whoa, what's happening with me? It was really just kind of stepping back. In the second one, I was feeling vulnerable. I think, well, this is the end. This I almost heard the song of the Doors playing in my head, and this is the end. That was kind of coming into me. I think, whoa, so now it's done. Now I can stop moving. And with the third one, it kind of felt releasing a little bit again. So it's kind of I can breathe. That's more hopeful, I would say.
Yeah. There's two things important here and interesting. The three examples, they are like, the first, try to be neutral, kind of. The second is obviously like, I try to make the patient panic. And the third one is the way I explain in my everyday practice thing to patients. So I wanted to be reassuring and all. So the way we are explaining things, it does matter. But even with a neutral example, kind of neutral, as Terry said, you don't understand exactly what is going on, but it leaves you. It feels natural, like for a professional, it can be, but for a patient, yeah. You don't know where you are. You don't know what you have there. You don't know. It's when you hesitate, you will always panic. Patient will always panic. So sometimes it can be like you might feel like you are doing a lot, maybe too much with the reassuring and all. But in my mind, I think it's the better solution.
This is great, Vince. This really kind of you ask us now to use a kind of imaginative empathy, and not only you ask us, you invite us actually. So it's not about asking. This is not. It doesn't feel like a very cognitive process. It's more that you just bring us in a different state. And when I just look around me to the ones in our session, then it happens something. So great. So we are with you. We are definitely with you at the moment.
Okay. I'm done with the exercise actually. So I will just conclude here about my point. Fiction for me is a tool that has always been used to pass on knowledge. It carries facts, feelings, and meanings, and it has helped us structure our society and our species by influencing our behavior as individuals. In your practice, the story you believe in will determine the way you care about people. You can learn every technique own the last gun laser ultrasound machine that costs way too much. But in the end, what makes you a good therapist is that you care or not. People want you to be paying attention to their stories, to be sure that you believe what they say, whether it's an uncle's friend or a 15 years medical history of pain that no one has ever gotten rid of. This way of thinking is called narrative medicine. You have to value the experience of the patient in front of you and accept that even if you're the medical expert in the room, the patient is the expert of his body and mind. So if you don't team with patients, think that you know best and that they should only listen and do as you say, that you might end up struggling more than once with someone's problem. It's a way of thinking about healthcare that encourages creativity and self-reflection in physicians. We live in a time where everything can be measured and counted. We are in an economic system that values growth over everything else. Health is no exception. And physiotherapy, like the other disciplines, have to show results and cost effectiveness to stay around. Why fund something that is not cost effective? So we try to prove using science the effectiveness of the technique we use. And it's a good thing. It helps the profession to improve every day and get rid of old habits that do not work as well as we thought. But most studies examine the groups while you only have one person in front of you. So your capacity to adapt to the person in front of you is vital, and you can do it only by first listening to the story. This capacity will be built through experience, and if you decide that it's worth the attention. In my mind, experience and seniority, like just you have worked for a very long time, they are two completely distinct concepts, and you can work your whole life without learning anything. Your experience as a therapist is as important as your experience as a person. Each therapist is unique and has his own vision. And sometimes this vision can be very different from what most people or the society expect. So importantly, don't be afraid of screwing up. You should be afraid of not screwing up, actually. Because if you don't take risk, you will never screw up and things will never change. So if the way you are working or people around you are working doesn't make you happy, you have the freedom to change it or make it anew. Depending on, in France, it's very true. You can work. they let you very free on that, so you can reinvent things here. I don't know if it's the same in the Netherlands, but I hope so for you. It's particularly true nowadays. Physiotherapy is currently a well-regarded profession. And understanding how the profession has come to what it is today is very interesting because it lets us imagine what will come next. And I think we need therapists that can think out of the box to create new ways of healing people. We need teachers that understand that physiotherapy is not all about anatomy. That doesn't help so much in everyday practice, I have to say. But that students, they also need to be taught in communication, management, entrepreneurship, philosophy. And most of all, I don't know if it's also the problem for you, but we need to think as a whole and not just as isolated individuals. Because if we do not, I fear that we might end up missing the train and cease to exist as the well-acknowledged profession we are today. So, you asked me to give two take-home questions.
Yes.
So I have two of them. How does physiotherapy come to be? What is it today? And why is it important to understand that? And the second one, physiotherapy cannot evolve in isolation. It does interact with the global and complex system we live in, cultural, economical. So what does it imply for you as a practitioner and in your practice? So this work, as I said, it has been heavily influenced by two books that I warmly recommend you to read. Sapiens from Yuval Noah Harari and The End of Physiotherapy by David Nichols. and we as a guest here. The two books, they have the same structure. They try to see the past as a continuum and to make sense of it, to explain how we got there as human for one and as physiotherapists for the other. And it then allowing us to imagine what the future will be made of. So to conclude, I will say, stay weird, stay fun, and keep the story going. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you to play along.
Thank you so much. I think this was, well, Vint, you were terrific. Thank you.
Thank you.
We will leave the live thing here with the questions. There's only one question that I got from yesterday. Do you have the questions written down?
Yeah, to the two take-home questions?
Yeah?
Yeah.
So we can put it on the whiteboard. Because then everybody can read the message. Oh, yes. Whoa, Vince, you really made... He's my day.
I'm glad to.
Okay, let's see. Oh, text. Yeah.
That's a question in it.
So now I think that everybody can read and reread the questions, and that makes. With these questions, thank you, Vince. And this was really wonderful. We had the most marvelous experience. And now I have to see.